Ebesit kata, etwa ost.
Maraskata!
Your forces have failed. Leave now and tell the Canary to trouble me no further.
Solas.
That should give us more time. I suspect you have questions.
How were you able to control the anchor?
In the same way as when I stopped it from killing you at Haven. Although I am stronger now, the mark you bear was bestowed upon you by the Orb of Fen'Harel. My orb.
You're Fen'Harel.
I was Solas first. Fen'Harel came later. An insult I took as a badge of pride. The Dread Wolf inspired hope in my friends, and fear in my enemies. Not unlike Inquisitor, I suppose. You also know the burden of a title that all but replaces your name.
The Dalish legends about the evil trickster god are wrong. I saw the truth in the crossroads.
You saw another story, written in desperation to give me more credit than I ever deserved.
You were a hero, Solas.
I sought to set my people free from slavery to would-be gods. I broke the chains of all who wished to join me. The false gods called me Fen'Harel, and when they finally went too far, I formed the Veil and banished them forever. Thus I freed the Elven people, and in so doing, destroyed their world.
How did creating the Veil destroy the world?
You saw the remains of Via Dethara. The library was intrinsically tied to the Fade, and the Veil destroyed it. There were countless other marvels, all dependent on the presence of the Fade, all destroyed. The Elven legends of immortality, all true. It was not the arrival of humans that caused them to begin aging. It was me. The Veil took everything from the elves, even themselves.
The Evanurus were elven mages. How did they come to be remembered as gods?
Slowly. It started with a war. War breeds fear. Fear breeds a desire for simplicity. Good and evil, right and wrong, chains of command. After the war ended, generals became respected elders, then kings, finally gods. The Evanurus.
You love the Fade. Why would you create the Veil to hide it all away?
Because every alternative was worse.
Meaning?
Had I not created the Veil, the Evanurus would have destroyed the entire world.
You banished the false gods. You didn't kill them.
You met Mythol, did you not? The first of my people do not die so easily. The Evanurus are banished forever, paying the ultimate price for their misdeeds.
You said that the elven gods went too far. What did they do that made you move against them?
They killed Mythol. A crime for which an eternity of torment is the only fitting punishment.
I thought Mythal was one of the Evanurus.
She was the best of them. She cared for her people. She protected them. She was a voice of reason. And in their lust for power, they killed her.
That's the past. What about the future?
I lay in dark and dreaming sleep while countless wars and ages passed. I woke still weak a year before I joined you. My people fell for what I did to strike the Evanurus down. But still, some hope remains for restoration. I will save the Elven people, even if it means this world must die.
Why does this world have to die for the elves to return?
A good question, but not one I will answer. You have always shown a thoughtfulness I respected. It would be too easy to tell you too much. I am not Corypheus. I take no joy in this. But the return of my people means the end of yours. It is my fight. You should be more concerned about the Inquisition. Your Inquisition. In stopping the Dragon's Breath, you have prevented an invasion by Qunari forces. With luck, they will return their focus to Tevinter. That should give you a few years of relative peace.
You're talking about destroying everything else in order to bring your people back, but you want us to focus on the Qunari.
The Qunari said the Inquisition was unknowingly working for agents of Fen'Harel.
I gave no orders.
You led us to Skyhold.
Corypheus should have died unlocking my orb. When he survived, my plans were thrown into chaos. When you survived, I saw the Inquisition as the best hope this world had of stopping him. And you needed a home. Hence, Skyhold.
You gave your orb to Corypheus?
Not directly. My agents allowed the Venatori to locate it. The orb had built up magical energy while I lay unconscious for millennia. I was not powerful enough to open it. The plan was for Corypheus to unlock it, and for the resulting explosion to kill him. Then I would claim the orb. I did not foresee a Tevinter Magister having learned the secret of effective immortality.
What would have happened if Corypheus had died, and you'd recovered the orb?
I would have entered the Fade using the mark you now bear. Then I would have torn down the veil. As this world burned in the raw chaos, I would have restored the world of my time. The world of the elves.
If you destroyed the veil, wouldn't the false gods be freed?
I had plans.
So, at least some of the stories about the Dreadwolf are true.
I did not lead a rebellion against immortal mage kings without getting my hands bloody. You must understand. I awoke in a world where the veil had blocked most people's conscious connection to the Fade. It was like walking through a world of tranquil.
We aren't even people to you.
Not at first. You showed me that I was wrong. Again. That does not make what must come next any easier.
For whatever it's worth, thanks for the castle.
For whatever it's worth, you used it well.
What's wrong with the Inquisition?
You created a powerful organization, and now it suffers the inevitable fate of such. Betrayal and corruption.
It's not that simple.
Do you know how I discovered the Qunari plot? The plot I disrupted by leading them to your doorstep. The Qunari spies in the Inquisition tripped over my spies in the Inquisition. The Elven Guard who led you to the Qunari body, who intercepted the servant with the Gatlock barrel. Mine.
Why bother disrupting the Qunari plot if you're going to destroy the world regardless?
You have shown me that there is value in this world, Inquisitor. I take no joy in what I must do. Until that day comes, I would see those recovering from the breach free of the Qun.
Why?
Because I am not a monster. If they must die, I would rather they die in comfort. In any event, it is done.
What do you say to something like this? Thanks.
I guess we owe you for that one too.
I hope it gives your people some final peace.
You control the Illuvians now.
Yes. You remember Briala from Halam Shiral? For a time, she controlled part of the labyrinth. One of my agents was supposed to take it from her, but he did not succeed. I had to override the magic personally. The Qunari stumbled upon this section independently. With them gone, the Illuvians are now mine.
There's still the matter of the anchor. It's getting worse.
Yes, I'm sorry. And we are almost out of time. The mark will eventually kill you. Drawing you here gave me the chance to save you. At least for now.
Given how powerful Solas has become, I'm not sure if killing him is going to help. It might be better to try to convince him. We saw how easily he just turned the Qunari to stone. Whatever is in him is very potent.
You don't need to destroy this world. I'll prove it to you.
I would treasure the chance to be wrong once again, my friend. Take my hand. I'm sorry. Live well, while time remains.
Something must be done, but we cannot lose the Inquisition now. We stand on the brink of war with the Qunari.
Yes, because this Solas provoked them in the first place.
The Inquisition did not cause this threat. We informed the Summit of the danger.
The danger posed by Qunari spies inside your organization.
Without our organization, none of us would be here to complain.
No one has forgotten what you have done. But Corypheus is 2 years dead.
If the Inquisition is to continue, it must do so as a legitimate organization, not a glorified mercenary band.
Inquisitor.
Alright, how do we put this down on the floor? Alright, so let's see. Number 1. Inquisition will be disbanded. Efforts against Solas will be weaker but more secure. Number 2, the Inquisition will be disbanded. Efforts against Solas will be weaker. Okay, so same idea. Inquisition disbanded, will be weaker but more secure. The Inquisition will serve divine Victoria. Efforts against Solas will be stronger but risk corruption. Okay, so we have 3 different ways of putting it, but it looks like we have 2 choices. So do we keep the Inquisition, put it under the divine, strike against Solas, and risk corruption? I guess that means like risk infiltration by various organizations. Efforts against Solas will be weaker but more secure. An interesting question. I mean, I think if I thought that we had a chance of defeating Solas through sheer might, then maybe I would want to be, I may want to put it under Divine Victoria. And of course there is that temptation to keep the Inquisition going. But in the end, it's not the organization, it's the people in it. And even if we are weaker, being more secure may be a better bet. If we can organize in a way that Solas may not be able to see our every single move, and we find some way of convincing him that he needs to end this war for the return of the elven gods or whatever it is, before it wipes out Thedas here. So, as much as I'm sure it pains Aurora to do it, I think it would be better to officially disband the Inquisition, but basically do it with the people that she trusts. So we'll go with that option.
You all know what this is? A writ from Divine Justinia authorizing the formation of the Inquisition. We pledge to close the breach, find those responsible, and restore order, with or without anyone's approval. It wasn't a formally authorized treaty that saved Ferelden's people. It wasn't careful diplomacy that ended your inane civil war. It was never about the organization. It was about people doing what was necessary. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a world to save. again. Effective immediately, the Inquisition is disbanded.
In short order, the Inquisition was disbanded. Some were relieved to see the unpredictable organization dismantled. Others preferred to remember the Inquisition's good works and the many lives it had saved. Those who had served returned to their former lives, knowing they had stopped a great evil from destroying the world. And hoping that the peace for which they had fought remained, once the Inquisition was gone. With the dragon's breath disrupted and any hope of a swift victory dashed, the Qunari retreated back to the north. Few knew what debates were raged in Par Vollen, but not long after the Exalted Council, the Qunari launched new attacks against Tevinter. Their aggression caught the already unstable Imperium off guard. Tevinter was soon mired in a war many feared could spread across Thedas. Cassandra continued her reign as Divine Victoria, working to ensure that the Inquisition's disbanding did not allow new enemies to rise. Her efforts were successful, and for a time, southern Thedas saw peace. Cassandra also spent time in the Hunterhorn Mountains north of Olay, where she worked to rebuild the Seekers. For a time, the new Seekers remained reclusive, showing no interest in worldly affairs and working to a purpose few outside their order could guess. Some believed that the end of the Inquisition as it had been heralded, the destruction of the fledgling College of Enchanters. Having clashed with the Circle, the college now found itself without support against the newly elected Grand Enchanter, Vivienne. Fortunately, Grand Enchanter Vivienne grudgingly agreed not to destroy its terrified legions, as a personal favor to the Divine. The two institutions settled into an uneasy coexistence across the south, vying for power. Liliana continued to act as the Inquisition spymaster in its final months as an independent organization. During this time, she shared many of her responsibilities with her most trusted agents, including Charter, Rector, and Harding. Many believed that Liliana feared what lay on the horizon and was grooming successors in anticipation of the challenges ahead. Sarah left the Inquisition with scarcely more ties than when she began, disappearing back into her confusing weave of favors and friends. After seeing the world brought to the brink by arrogance and pride, it was a blessing to return to the normal, however strange a normal it might be. With frequent visits to her whittle, of course. Perhaps most unnerving was Sarah's standing offer to the Divine. When the knobs piss about with your left hand or right, call on Red Jenny to give them 2 fingers. Cassandra still has an ally in Sarah, it seems. Varric took up the role of Viscount and, with the help of his friend Hawk, rebuilt Kirkwall's damaged infrastructure. Oh good, Hawk's still alive. Under his rule, the city-state finally resumed its place as the major trade hub of the Free Marches. He continued to ignore all mail from both the Merchants Guild and the Prince of Starkhaven. Nice. With the Inquisition disbanded, the Bull's Chargers returned to taking jobs throughout Orlais and Ferelden. Fighting demons and clearing out the remains of Venatori forces, the Iron Bull did his part to restore order to Thedas. After the Inquisition disbanded, Cullen retired from active service. He returned to Ferelden, establishing a sanctuary for former Templars on land Divine Victoria granted to him. Good man, Cullen. With his help, many Templars shed their lyrium addiction, and those whose minds were too far gone spent their last days in comfort. And he promised that, should his friends from the old Inquisition ever need him, his blade would be ready. Dorian returned to Deventer to take his father's place in the Magisterium. As rumors flew about the Imperium's infighting, Dorian was spoken of often as a voice of resistance against corruption. Along with Magister Mavis Telani, he formed a group called the Lucerni to restore and redeem Deventer, a fight many thought hopeless. After the Exalted Council, Tom Raynor bid farewell to his friends and went to Weissup Fortress to pledge himself to the Grey Wardens for good. While he was rarely seen in the years that followed, some said they encountered Raynor in far-flung lands, their accounts always similar. Raynor carried out the duty of the Wardens, but always found time to help others along the way. Sometimes he served as a shield for the defenseless. Other times he spread simple cheer among children with gifts of small carved toys. With the Inquisition disbanded, Josephine made her farewells and returned to Antiva and her family. Thanks to the Inquisitor's help, the Montiliers were once again permitted to trade in Orlais. The next few years were a busy time, as many ships with the Montilier crest were built and set sail again from Antiva's harbors. Soon Raveni pirate captains with an ancient feud against Josephine's ancestors took to the seas, determined to rekindle the rivalry. Apart from Josephine's sister Yvette, nearly eloping with a dashing pirate prince on one occasion, Lady Montilier took the development in stride. The Inquisitor found herself warmly received by Josephine's family, and House Montilier soon became a second home. A place where the Inquisitor could, at last, find peace for a time, with Josephine happily by her side. Cole returned to the Fade, saying that there was more pain coming, and that he knew where compassion would be most needed. He promised that his friends in the Inquisition would remember him, and that where the hurt was greatest, he would help. It's good to have an ally on the other side of the veil. After the events at the Winter Palace, elves left the Inquisition under mysterious circumstances, as did elven servants across Thedas. None could say where they went, but those who believed the Inquisitor's story about Fen'Harel wondered just how large the Dreadwolf's forces were. And what the ancient elven rebel had planned.
My agents have found nothing. With the Illuvians, he could be anywhere.
With the Inquisition officially disbanded, we have no army, no formal alliances.
We have what we truly need.
We will need to be careful.
Solas knows everything about us. Who we are, how we work, our strengths and weaknesses.
Then we find people he doesn't know. We will save our friend from himself. If we can.
What is this? A new book? All this shit is weird. Oh, Varric, that is a terrible title. What are you even thinking? The sky churned like a rolling sea on a dark and stormy night, centered on a gaping hole that led to the arse end of nowhere. A hole that spit up many things that day. Comets, demons, and a whole lot of trouble. It's about the Inquisition. The din of the tavern cut the silence like it owed the carter money. In the middle, in her element, Red Jenny. She looked me up and down, mostly down. Not playing, weirdy, she said, gesturing with and dismissively eating a sandwich. Don't write that. Seriously, piss up a robe. Sarah made the subtext text, which suited me fine. The court enchanter swirled into the room like a drop of beautiful poison spreading in a wineglass. She sized me up with a glance. I'm so glad you made it, my dear, she said. I am Madame de Fer, the most terrifying person you shall ever meet. Liliane enfolded Alphonse in an embrace as warm as a serpent's kiss. I always knew I could count on your support. The Count did not feel the bite of her poisoned dart until it was too late. Even if it requires your death. Drops of rain glistened on the griffin medallion grasped tightly in Blackwall's hand. The silverite wings of valor, they mean nothing. He flung the medal to the cold and uncaring ground. You don't know what I've done. You don't know me. So romantic. Cole moved like a shadow that also moved like a knife. A shadow wearing a hat where dreams came to die. It's a riddle, he whispered. A cold riddle that gnaws at your mind, but you'll feel better when it's gone. That makes as much sense as anything Cole says. Place your herald above the law, Ambassador. Whose law, my lady? Josephine's eyes glittered like angry opals. The law destroyed by rebellion, by civil war, by poor fiscal management. We are the law. Left our mark on adamant, but the dust hadn't settled, and neither had Harding. I can offer you a drink, if I catch your meaning. If you caught my meaning, you'd have offered a double. What is even happening here? Iron Bull was a great slab of muscle with horns that could hang a tapestry. One eye scanned for threats, while the other hid behind an eye patch like a chantry sister's old sins. Come on, he barked, not looking back as he entered. The dancer with the great rack comes on in 5.
That is spot on, actually.
The commander had the look of a Templar who had seen the worst of humanity, yet still had the time to style his hair. "This isn't just a war," he said, his gaze steely like a dull blade. "It's the only war."
Cullen! That's Cullen!
The mage wore a class of handsome sneer cultivated by 1,000 years of Tevinter elitism. "The name's Dorian," he glared. D-O-R-I-A-N. Spell it right, you marble-headed lump, or it's toad time. A toad? That's hardly credible. The bold elf spun, mage staff crackling like the city after a good man's murder. "You're crazy!" the Red Templar cried in terror. Moonlight glinted off ears like the knives you never see coming. Better to fade out than burn away. Ugh, Varric. Wait, where am I? I don't... Oh, here it is. The Seeker clutched at my vest, her tears as desperate as they were pitiful. "Varric, I was wrong about everything," she sobbed. "Could you find it in your noble heart to forgive me?" "That dwarf, he put me in the book! I'm in the book! I am reading the shit out of this!"
To all of you who played Dragon Age Inquisition, who laughed, cried, and reached out on social media, who made fan art and comics and cosplay and jokes, thank you. Dragon Age Inquisition was a labor of love. Without you, it would never have been possible. Your support and passion touched us deeply. We hope that in some small way, this game touched you as well. Bear your blade and raise it high. The Dragon Age team.